Kain. I'm one of the summer art camp teachers, along with teaching during holidays and times when the kids are off. Because I have a science and math background, I like to do STEAM projects with kids. Today, we're going to look at the structure of a flower. In particular, this particular flower is a lily. All right, so first and foremost, petals. Petals are the big, colorful part of the flower, this part right in here. The next thing, if you look way down into your flower, you're going to see a little round piece down at the base of the flower. Way down in here, hard to see. That's the ovary. All right, that's where the seeds come from. You have a stamen. These stamen right here hold up the pollen part of the flower. The ovary is attached to this part right here, which gets pollinated, pollinated from the stamen, pollinate the ovary tip, and you will get seeds. Next thing we're going to talk about at the base of all flowers is a little widened area that holds the flower on. That's called the receptacle. So these are the things that I want included in your drawings. All right? Basic things. And then, of course, without needing to mention too much of this, this is a leaf. And adding leaves to a flower picture is like icing the cake. It's kind of a nice, neat thing to do. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw a pencil coloring of your flower. Notice when I've drawn this particular flower, I didn't make a tiny little drawing down here in the corner. I want your flower to cover your entire sheet of paper. You got to be brave, you got to be bold. You guys will be getting a handout that's going to help you along with that picture. Even though this is a rose, you can see that the basic parts of the flower are still the same. So you'll get this with your vocabulary words on that. So I'm going to start with glue stick. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've taken this and I'll start. This is the flower I'm working with. I'll take my glue stick and go around the painting or the drawing and work my thing in there. So the first thing to do is we're going to go through and we're going to just lay down the background of the flower. Let's get these shapes down. Okay, now a bad start. We've got the basic shape of the flower. Okay, looks a little bit like a galaxy, if you were interested in astronomy, a little bit of a solar system, galaxy, such a thing. But does it really represent a whole lot of what we have, or can I make it better? Well, let's take a look at the colors of tissue paper that I have. First of all, you can see that I have darker areas going along here, and on some of these things that are folded, I want to be able to show how I've got some shading. So maybe what I'll do is I'll take this little piece of blue paper and I'll scrunch it up into a tube and I'll put that right down there and I start to have now some center to my flower, and with it going with the red in the background, that blue and the red together are going to make what? Purple. Good. So I'm going to do that a little bit. I'm going to take my blue paper and I'm going to add, this isn't pretty good. This shading right here does pretty good with just the two folds. I've been able to pick up some extra shading and some extra depth by doing that. But I kind of think I'd like to get a little bit of blue paper right along in here. Notice that I'm not really concerned of getting exact shapes. It isn't necessary. Just tearing shapes makes things a little bit more what's called organic, like a little free-flowing. If you look in here now, you're going to see, well, those things are sort of a green and a sort of a yellow. Well, luckily for me and for you, we have green and yellow tissue paper. So I'm going to start, and all of these in here look like triangles. So probably starting to make triangles would not be such a bad idea. You sort of want to get a little square, and you cut the square into a little triangle. Don't worry about the paper that's already there, other than the fact it tends to stick to your glue stick, but those are the natures of glue sticks. So there we have a pretty approximate rendition, otherwise known as Impressionism, of our flower. All right? But what are we going to do about these beautiful things that really do characterize the flower? Well, they're sort of greenish, maybe greenish yellow. So I think I'll take some green paper, and I'm going to roll it up twist it up until it's a long, sort of springy thing. When you put them in here, don't put them evenly all spaced around. As you can see, they're not all evenly spaced around there. Some of them are closer together, some of them are farther apart, some of them are going solo and hanging out on their own. So there are my stamens. I got the stamens down. All right? Just 6 of those stamens, but I still need to get this ovary down. And even though it's almost the same color as the stamens, I might want to go ahead and make it a little bit different. So maybe, instead of just plain old green, I'm going to add a little bit of orange to it. And if I put green and orange together, it becomes, that's right, brown. So I'm going to make a sort of a brown, green, orange-ish sort of thing for my ovary. And I'm just going to stick that out there, and it'll stick up on its own. And I can do the same thing. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bunch of little bits of red and blue and crumple them all up together into nubs, and I'm going to make those the tips of my stamens. And now we're cooking. Do you see how I'm not taking a whole lot of time to get those perfect shapes? The idea of this is very impromptu in terms of art. It's a real kind of a flow from where you're going with it. You don't necessarily need to have everything exact. Art is more about feeling. So I'm going to make my stem pretty much the same way I made the rest of my other things, but probably a little bigger. So now you ask yourself, you say, whoa, how are you going to get that leaf behind there? Well, I'll get the leaf behind there as best I can. And now if you take this and you step back away from your thing that you look at, you will see that it's pretty representative of the lily that you chose to look at.